Hello everyone, so today we're going to have the second episode of the podcast.
Yes, we are with Anthony today, CEO and co-founder of Liteflow.
And Emmanuel, the CEO of Liteflow. And yeah, today so we're going to talk about kind of like the struggle that projects have when they want to launch, or even companies have when they want to get into the Web3 space. Because yeah, it's quite complicated to start a project. There is a few issues I want to kind of like discuss and see basically how Liteflow is actually helping on that front.
Yeah, that's the stuff. When we talk about like presenting NFTVerse, that's something that we already launched, but we wanted to explain more why we're doing these things. And basically it's like to answer all the struggle, like I said, like project who enter the space already in the space have. So what we identified basically was the three main pillars that created NFTVerse. Can you talk a bit more like these three main pillars of direction that people need to get help and be onboarded with?
Yeah, so one of the main one I would say is really about to create your network, to really connect with the people that you need to connect to, because that's where we find the right partner, that's where we find the right people to work with and so on. So yeah, the connection part, really creating your network is something like incredibly hard, especially when you're not familiar with that. The marketing part, to be able to create the right content, test the right content and everything. And the part to educate yourself, to know really like how, like who should you trust basically in this space, and not because someone told you to trust them, but because you really know that you can trust them.
Yeah, so, education about what about the technology aspect, about like the different use cases that you could have?
Yeah, a bit of everything, basically like how you could first understand this Web3 space, because if you want to build a product in this space, you need to understand the community there, you need to understand the type of businesses that you can run with that. You need to understand basically the good people in the space and the one that just try to basically rip you off. Mm-hmm. So all this kind of stuff like that, which is usually quite a big issue that we've seen with a few clients, where like they just go all in like okay, I will go with all these guys, they look super nice, and in the end, no, they're super bad and they're like massive issues with that.
So to go back on these three pillars that we just started to introduce, like the first one, the connection, this networking connection, creating your network issue, I would say, it's not really an issue, but it's a very complicated task, I would say, for everyone. Basically, Web2, Web3 is the same, creating a network is hard.
Yeah, it's not necessarily hard, but it's like you need to know how to do that and why you want to do that, and really like, it's not like you cannot create your network basically overnight. That's something that takes time, that takes money, because most of the time you will have to fly to different conferences, to different events, to meet some of the right people, so these people can introduce you to some other people and this kind of thing like that. So it's like creating this kind of like network effect is something that takes a lot of time. And when you start, it's hard, like a lot of projects are a bit scared to go in a conference or something like that, because hey, I will go in the conference, I will go to see the presentation, it's nice, but I don't go there to actually network, and even for events and things like that. And that's the part that is really hard sometimes to go over this fear of like meeting people, discussing with them, and not feeling like, oh, I'm just a small project, for example, or I'm just like a Web2 business that doesn't belong in Web3, this kind of stuff like that. A bit hard to go over that.
That's interesting, because I'm thinking also sometimes you cannot really access those kind of entry points. Like, yeah, you want to talk to this guy, you identify the target that you want to network with, but you cannot access the event because you are not part of the ecosystem. And that's happened quite a lot, especially when we talk about big conferences. Those side events are here to basically network, meet the people, create the connections that you don't have time during the main conference itself. But sometimes you cannot if you are not already in the ecosystem, either because you need to have the special NFT from the community, or to know the right guys or partner with them already to be part of this. And there is those blockers. So even for people who try, pushing them outside of their comfort zone, going to conferences, meeting people, doing all the job, they still have blockers on the way, basically, because it's kind of the chicken and eggs. You need to have a network to go to create and grow your network, kind of.
Yeah, no, definitely. You need to start. It takes time, and then after it start to build something interesting. But yeah, this chicken and egg problem is like you will not have anything from your network because you don't have a network. But then when you have a network, you have a lot of things from your network. But how to start? That's the part that is complicated.
To go on the marketing, the second part, the marketing part that we are talking about. You were talking about like it's hard to experiment, take risk, and basically amplify your message or target the right audience. Can you elaborate a bit on this part?
Yeah, one thing that and this is like really from experience at Liteflow, but also with the different clients as well that we work with. Like you never know really which marketing campaign will work. You have to test everything. You have to test doing, I don't know, airdrops, doing some videos, doing some shorts, doing some blog posts, doing, I don't know, one-on-one discussion with influencers, all this kind of stuff. There is no good or bad solutions. It's just like depending on your business, depending on your targets, even depending on your own like internal strategy and things like that. Some stuff will work and some stuff will not work. And so that's a part that is really frustrating for a project usually because they need to test all these different strategies, or like most of them, to know, basically just to test if it will not work, basically. And that's the stuff. You actually spend money to test if a strategy will not work. And so spending, I don't know, time to, let's say you want to do some videos, you will need to have someone who actually did the video, who do like, I don't know, maybe like the translation of it, publish the video, then broadcast this video, which platform to do and all that. So you need to have like either like a lot of skills to be able to do like all the different type of media, I would say, for your marketing, or you need to just hire people, then that means like spending a lot of money just for testing something that you are not even sure it will work.
Yeah, so kind of the same issue like time and money. Basically, you need to invest a lot to fail to see why you failed to understand and reproduce a success campaign after that. And it takes a lot of time to do all of these things, and that's why most of the companies have a hard time basically trying different approach on marketing because it's easier to go and stay in your comfort zone. Like I create all the articles, I manage that part, I'm okay, nobody reads it, but it's easy to ship. And I need to do like videos now that I don't know anything, and I'm afraid, and I will spend months on that or not. So that's kind of, this goes back a bit to the connection part. And something I wanted to ask you also, because thinking about this, going back to the connection part, how can you know that the people you are targeting will look at what you are doing? Because doing marketing for marketing, it's useless. You always have a target. And we think about project. Some project might want some companies to see their advertisement, their marketing, just because they don't try to sell them directly, but maybe they want to have funding, partnership, and so on. And I'm thinking a campaign that you create and you want big companies, some specific big companies to see it, how can you do that? And that's the thing right now. There is basically no way apart if you are in their ecosystem, so like that this can be pushed. Do you feel that it's kind of an issue also? This, I don't know how to create things, I don't want to try things, to take risks, but also how can I push to the right audience that I'm targeting?
Yeah, I think the part of like targeting a specific company, I think this would be more like on the network part, to have like biz dev working on that, which is kind of like close in a way to marketing, but yeah, targeting the right audience, yeah, this is definitely something that is complex. All the companies are actually working toward that to really narrow down their audience and make sure that they can target them efficiently. It's something I think you need to have this problem. There is no way around that, but it's good to, again, in terms of marketing, you need to test things. So it's good to be able to test different audience, to have quick feedback on that, and then to see if it's actually something you need to double down on, or you actually just need to give up on this part, basically. And again, this test is something that is time-consuming and costly.
Yeah, I was thinking more like, for example, if you target some specific communities of companies because they could have some specific communities that could match with what you're doing, either you do it on your side and good luck to enter the community that you're part of, or if you're already in the ecosystem, it's way easier to push what you're trying to push to this audience. And that's why I was saying it goes back to the connection parts, like being inside an ecosystem, a network, and so on, makes also the marketing easier. Yeah, not just the networking, but the marketing, the networking, everything is interconnected.
Yeah, for sure. And so all this, I think, as a part, like to know what type of marketing you need to do, so to know like which, for example, which event you need to go to do some networking and all that. That kind of like lead to the last point, that is really the education part, where like you need to really educate yourself. But that's something tricky to do because you have so much noise. So what's your take on this part, on the whole education part?
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. So we've been in the space for 7, 8 plus years already. So yeah, kind of already had this issue, already find some people that we trust and we follow in terms of education. Even after many years, we are still educating ourselves every day. It's a challenging space, basically. Blockchain, you need to stay up to date all the time. And with all this noise, it's hard because basically there is so much information that could push you away from the right thing that you should focus on in terms of, oh, I should still educate myself on this. not focus on the noise. But yeah, even if you find the right actors, I would say it's hard to see also different type of use cases. That's I'm thinking what I'm looking for right now, for example, in terms of education, type of use cases, of new use cases to implement some technologies in a way that we try to focus on the long-term vision and not the short-term vision. And a lot of educational content right now, they focus on the short-term goals, short-term vision. So when you try to find something a bit more long-term, who is pushing on the long-term adoption, what we can do if we bypass the marketing aspect of NFTs right now and we focus more on core product integration, that starts to be really tricky, basically, even for us. And we are in the space, so I cannot imagine if you are not in the space on newcomer, how you can do that right now.
Yeah, and especially that in these cases, like you don't know what you don't know, basically. So you will be like, okay, this sounds interesting, that sounds quite similar to what I want to do somehow. So, okay, the person looks legit, I will follow what they show on YouTube, Twitter, or whatever. And I will just follow this kind of like influencer, basically, that are not necessarily teachers, basically. So they will, like, because they don't know the space yet, they don't know really how things work, they will think that they follow the right person, even they don't, basically. And so that's about like following the right leaders here. It's about that it's tricky, because when you have some experience, you know like what kind of like green flag and red flag you need to look for. But if you don't have this experience, you'll be like, oh, this guy is that seems to be a genius. And you realize 2 months later, like, oh no, he rug pulled everyone, and it's like, it's a big fake.
It's not that good. That's happened to me. I was following a guy for 6 months, everything was fine, then the content started to be like I said, red flag, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? I never know what's going on, but I just unsubscribed because I'm like, not qualified anymore. And something I'm thinking also, because I was going back to right now I'm looking more into use cases, getting inspired and so on, the business part. Nobody, it's so hard. So yeah, you can, just to make it clear, we don't talk about education, about how to code smart contract and stuff like that. No, this is of course already on internet, super easy, no problem. We talk about
startup education, how to create and build a product in a sustainable way, in a way that is not like, hey, let's pump and up and exit.
Or even more than that, just not the technical education, but the business education. And that's the thing, Liteflow, we always push on the business part, but yeah, this part is so hard to find. It's like, you can have a lot of content on YouTube, any platforms, general content, basic content, what you need layer 2 and so on, but how to implement that into this type of use cases, businesses, it's so hard to find. And that's the part that here, I think NFTVerse, that's not the end goal, but one of the starter goals, I would say, is like how can we educate our audience, our clients, our ecosystem on those specific topics that they ask for, because they were asking for that every week, every day. We want more articles, we want more use cases, we want more examples, because they could not find that. And we talk about people, big companies, already in the space, Web2, transited, so it's not like any builders, it's those guys have this issue right now.
No, it touched like we talked about like startup and things like that, but also like big companies that want to move into Web3, it's still a new world for them basically. So they still need this kind of like education. And so to come back a bit on the NFTVerse, so that's also like one of the reasons why we launched this NFTVerse initiative, to try to educate people, educate projects, educate also these companies that want to get in the space.
Inspire them also.
Inspire them with kind of like the best leaders that there is on the market, I would say right now.
Showing the long-term vision that we align, all the good metrics that they should focus on.
Yeah, and so with that, when you bring like kind of like leaders in that are really like all working towards the same vision of having basically NFT at the foundation of everything, blockchain everywhere, whether or not it's a financial tool or not, it doesn't really matter anymore. It's like, no, we are here for what this technology can bring basically to product, to businesses, and not for like, okay, let's do some trade on that. So when you bring this type of people in the same place, that's where you realize the full potential of this technology and how it can really change everything in the whole industry, basically in the whole business space. And so that's the stuff I would try to do with NFTVerse, to really bring all these people in, to make sure like you have, I would say like a right set of people that you can follow to understand basically the long-term vision of that.
So can you, for the audience that understand now a bit why we are doing those things, can you elaborate on what NFTVerse brings to each company who is part of NFTVerse? on those topics. So for example, the connection part, the first pillar that we were talking about, how NFTVerse helps the members basically improving this.
Yeah, so there's a few things. So one of the part of NFTVerse is doing some events. So we do events during the major conferences. So we started a couple of months ago with Token 2049 in Singapore, where it was like fully packed, like over deliver on everything. We had like amazing speaker. We had like the launch of Talk Drift, like the early preview of the game. We had like project from Animoca. We had like quite a lot of like really interesting projects that are like well established in the space. And so we try to create this type of events. We have the next one in Paris in February during NFT Paris, and Dubai for Token 2049 in April. And so the goal is really to try to bring all the best kind of like leaders in the space, bring also all the projects that are interested into Web3, that they have either a startup already, their project, they are looking to fundraise, they are looking to find the right partners, whatever. And we try to bring them in the same room, and then after us as Liteflow, because we are connected with all these people, we know basically the need for each one of them. We can try to do like basically some matchmaking. Like, hey, you're looking for funding? Wait, I have to present you one guy here. So like that, we try to help them to really kickstart, I would say, their network. So they come here and they can create their network at our event.
We are a facilitator between people who join the event, big company to small company again, it's open to everyone. We connect major company to small incubators, to small innovators in the space. Facilitator for those connections, so like that you don't have to struggle. On the marketing part, so basically we are talking about this issue of testing different formats, amplifying your communications, making sure that it reaches some audiences that you want to target. What NFTVerse bring on this part?
Yeah, so on top of that, on top of the physical event, which is one thing, but it's just like there is not like a major conference every day.
And we work in digital every day, so digital.
Yeah. So one thing that we do as well is like we try to promote the content of the member in the NFTVerse ecosystem, I would say, the Liteflow ecosystem. So first of all, during the event, we showcase some projects so like that they can present their project, they can present their vision, whatever they want to present. So this way, we record that, we make a nice video for them, so like that they can test video formats, and we can of course help them to amplify this part also on their own, so they can reach a different audience as well.
So this material, we do that for them, we give that to them, and we help them push it to the public.
Yeah, and so these ones like they have nothing to do except like coming and just like showing a few slides like, hey, this is what I do. So kind of like low effort, and it's a good way to test basically a new type of media without having too much effort to do on their end. Similarly, we actually do also interviews that have kind of like the same goals, like a 5-minute, 10-minute interview just to talk about your project. We do video of that, we do short of that, we can publish all that, we can promote all that. The project can actually also use that. So that's a good way for them to test some different marketing strategies.
Yeah, there's a lot of different formats, like short, interview, presentation video, and so on. It's kind of not limited, and we leverage a lot of different channels, like newsletter, publication in different ecosystems. So it's kind of a big package, I would say.
Yeah, it's like all the media basically that we use at Liteflow, we use it to also like bring all the different people in NFTVerse from that, so like that they can have access to all the different partners of Liteflow, all the different clients of Liteflow, all the different leads of Liteflow, basically all the network of Liteflow. So that's basically a new audience for them, which in the case of Liteflow, we are really like B2B focus, so B2B Web3 focus. So this project that could be something that they might want to explore in terms of targeting, and so we give them basically the opportunity to do that.
And on the education part, because we talk about creating content, so the next step is basically the education, how Liteflow helps. So we talk about the creation part, but how Liteflow helps basically educate the audience that is already in the space, but also all the audience that is looking, and not part of NFTVerse, but looking at what we do. What type of benefits we bring here?
Yeah, so all the presentation and interviews, it's part of education already, because then you showcase a project, they can describe their vision to try to guide you in the right direction. So that's one thing, but also this type of podcast. So right now it was just like you and me, but the next podcast we will bring actually leaders in the space to talk about different topics. from like I don't know, how to make like good UX in a Web3 product to maybe like how to use NFT for like absolutely every single piece of your product. A bit of everything, and so that's the part like really the podcast, really the goal would be to educate you about either some trends, some good new technology, some good new type of business that you can do.
Long-term vision also, because we talk about something that right now might not be trendy because nobody cares right now, but if you see a bit the long-term vision, actually that's something you should care. So it's kind of a mix between right now what you need to focus on, but also don't forget the long-term goal that we repeat over and over again.
But yeah, so that's the goal of the podcast. We will open the podcast to a lot more people who basically are interested to share their vision, share their goal and what they see in the NFT space or the Web3 space. I think that's something that could be really valuable, especially that we do kind of like want to make sure that our network is still like a quality network. So all the clients we work with, all the partners we work with, we are basically checking them, making sure that it's good. So basically we ensure that when we do this type of podcast, we have some good quality out of that.
Yeah, I think that's the overall NFTVerse focus anyway on quality, and because we try to showcase, we try to inspire, so of course we want to bring the right value, which align with the Liteflow value at the end. We just transit those values to NFTVerse that we share with all the members. That's also why we decided to move forward with expanding NFTVerse. Like, we saw that every members, if they are sponsors, speakers during the event, part of the network or not, everyone who participated was sharing the same vision and understanding the same value. So NFTVerse bring us together basically, and we want to align with people who share those values, or at least try to explain them for people who might not follow them right now, but to convince them to join us in this long-term direction that we think will benefit the space at the end if we do that.
Yeah, and that would definitely benefit the space, because that's the stuff where we'll be able to all help each other, and something I want to really make sure so that it's kind of like what I understood is like NFTVerse is not only something about Liteflow, it's something that we want to make it open with like many companies that join, that we all have like kind of like part of that in it, and so like that we make it really collaborative. We should be helping each other, all of us, because if we have some other people, then that we get back to you at some point, because that will grow the ecosystem. So
yeah, we took the initiative because someone has to do it basically, but that's the fact. It's like when you bootstrap it, and the goal is to have it living on its own. Like, we're not going to tease too much, but we already have a long-term vision for this that we try to achieve. And like I said, the first thing is opening it, getting new members. We have some members joining. The next step will be to present in a better way all the members of NFTVerse, what's coming, the future events, the future content. If, for example, we were talking about, just to go back on that, so basically NFTVerse Connect helps you to connect with people, NFTVerse Market to work on the different marketing content, testing new format, NFTVerse Educate for all the educational parts. That's a club, a hub at the end, we say, for companies basically, just to make it clear for everyone. You get all these benefits, but you are, like you said, part of a club, not part of Liteflow itself. You are part of the ecosystem, but you are part of other people ecosystem. Basically, it's a big ecosystem.
Yeah, it's a big merge of the different ecosystem. Basically, that's the goal.
Yeah, so if you want to be part of that, you need to join either one of the partner ecosystem, Liteflow or NFTVerse, and from that after, all the benefits, all the different advantages we can propose. Even with our partners, all the partners, the members of NFTVerse could propose something to each participant, and we'll have access to that basically.
So basically, like, if anyone wants to join, what's the next step to join NFTVerse, to have access to all the events, all the different material, to maybe have a chance also to present their startup or their project in the next event?
Yeah, so like I was saying, we are right now onboarding new members. We started onboarding new members since the last few months, and we're going to push that soon publicly. If people want to join, we are looking for everyone. So basically, they can just go to liteflow.com/NFTVerse. We're going to put the link in the description of the podcast. This is where we centralize all the information. You can have access to the previous launch week we did, with all the content we created with the Blockchain Game Alliance, Sandbox, Mochaverse, and so on. You have access also to the previous event we did if you want to have a quick view of what's happened in Token and why we are very hyped with this event and the next one that will happen in Paris. And on this page, you have access to a form when you can apply. So basically, you fill the form, and we'll review your application, reach out to you, and make the ball rolling. It's super simple. You can reach out directly to us if you want, but the best way is NFTVerse, liteflow.com/NFTVerse. That's where all the information are.
If you want also a bit more, there is some videos on YouTube, Liteflow.com, and as well as the Twitter, Liteflow.com, where to reach a bit of Liteflow and a bit of NFTVerse for now.
Yeah, because we start the initiative right now, we centralize all those on our channels to make it simple, but obviously the goal would be to expand that. So Liteflow effectively on YouTube, all documentation, video, podcast, accessible for free. You don't need to be members, everyone can access the educational content, that's the goal. We think that everyone should be able to have free access to education, so fully free, feel free to reach out. And of course, yeah, all the different socials, Twitter, LinkedIn, and so on. Also our partners' socials, because we do co-marketing with them. Like I said, collaborative, we work with them. So if you follow one of the members, you might have seen or you might see some NFTVerse content for you.
So yeah, if you want to join, liteflow.com/NFTVerse, and yeah, ready to make the ecosystem a lot bigger, a lot more connected, and a lot more exciting.
Thanks, Anthony, again for this podcast. It was a pleasure to talk with you today about that, and looking forward for the next one with our future guest.
All right, thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Bye. We are Liteflow. We are the home for your ambitions.